the Bain Free Radio Hour.
Hello and welcome to the Bain Free Radio Hour. Today, Jeremy Comeaux interviews Melissa Olthoff about Tempered by Fire, and later we bring you more One Jump Ahead by Mark L. Van Name, Part 71.
Is that how you said it? I had no idea. So now, even decades, 10.5 years later, I still have to correct my brain as I'm like seeing that word, like that's Sean. It is so crazy.
Well, and you're talking about your kids reading. I mean, we are like 80s and 90s kids, and we definitely did not read or watch things that were inappropriate for our age in the 80s and 90s. That never happened. Anyway, so
totally forgot the original question, but yes, my kids read my books, and it's amazing.
Yeah. No, so one thing that I've heard since Griffin's One, Rise from Ruin, is the tactics and maneuvers in the books are pretty realistic, as realistic as you can get riding Griffins and Dragons. And you've gotten some pretty good compliments to that regard. Can you like speak to, like what people have said and, some of the, brag a little bit?
Okay. So I did not go to the academy. I did not go to the Air Force Academy. I went to a real college where, thank goodness, at that point, social media and smartphones weren't really a thing. But I also was a cadet, right? I went to ROTC. I did all the things, but I didn't go to an academy. So when somebody like Casey Azell or my husband, who did go to the Air Force Academy, or Casey Morse, and they say you got it right, that was like a lovely, like warm glow in my chest. Like, oh, good, I'm so glad I got it right. Because while I was at the second largest Air Force detachment in the country, it's not quite the same. You have way more freedoms as a ROTC cadet than you do as an academy cadet. So I tried really hard to, I paid attention when they were talking. I tried really hard to get those vibes correct, because there's some things that it's not going to matter if you're training to be a pilot or a dragon rider. If you are a cadet at a military academy, there's some things that are going to stay the same, right? So that was a lot of fun. But the thing I am most proud of is taking my little baby pilot skills, because I got halfway through pilot training with the Air Force, which means that the phase that I got to do was aerobatics. And when you were talking about riding a dragon, that was a really good correlation. So I was able to take my horseback riding skills, because I am a horse girl, and boy, did I lean into that for Rise from Ruin. I'm like, I can finally use my horse knowledge. Yes. But I took horseback riding, combined it with what I'd experienced as a baby pilot, and slapped it together for riding dragons, and it worked. It worked awesome, better than I thought it would, and it was a lot of fun. But to expand on the horse part, I got to thinking, I'm like, when I was building out, like doing my world building for the academy, I'm like, okay, you're going to have instructors, right? You're going to have instructor dragons and instructor griffins, but you're not going to have enough. And regardless of what you bond with, you're a rider, and you have to know how to ride. So how would we compensate? With horses. So from like day one at the academy, you are expected to learn how to ride, and ride well, because holy crap, it translates so well. And also as an author, I'm going hee horse stuff.
So was that a big influence on the choice to do a Griffin's book? Was horses?
It really wasn't. It was just more, as I was writing, I'm like, oh my God, this like massive part of my life is like so relevant and useful. And I mean, at this point, y'all, it's been, we're not even gonna do the math. No time math. It's been a long time since I've been able to ride as children, and it's not cheap. I used to own horses. I have had everything from a off the track thoroughbred to a Trakehner to a awesome like quarter horse pony that was like the best horse I ever had. His name was Rufus. He was very cool. But I haven't had time to ride. So my husband, Jeremy, you will appreciate this with the whole like husbands trying to get their wives to let go of some things. I refuse to get rid of my saddles because saddles are really expensive. And I don't want to get rid of it yet, even though it has been 10 years since I have consistently ridden. But one day it's going to happen. Totally.
Well, no, because I've heard some of the compliments flying around about the book where, you know, you got it sounded feasible. The tactics were right. That's, you know, as realistic as you can get with griffins and dragons and things like that. So good job. Now, one thing I've enjoyed about the second book, because like I said, I haven't read the first book yet. I will rectify that. Is you did a good job, even though I've heard you talk about the first book. You and the Feral Ladies talk about the first book. It's never in great detail. Y'all have all read it, so you know you're just kind of talking the inside baseball. And so I didn't know a whole lot except for the bare premise of the original book. And you did a good job of little spots of catching me up in the second book, but not so much that I felt like I read two books. You know, it's not an info dump. It's like, so kudos to you on that, because I didn't feel lost, even though I didn't read the first book. I'm not telling people not to go read the first book. Please go do so, because you'll be better off. But if you jump in with this book, you're going to be okay. Because she, like I said, she does a good job of catching you up.
Thanks.
But go read the first book. Don't be silly. And so with that, let's maybe talk a little bit more about you. Get to know you a little bit more. For folks who don't know, this is most likely going to be a two-parter, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But so. I've known you for a while now, and you have partnered up with a bunch of writers. Is this your first solo series, or have you done solo before?
So I've done solo before, but this is my first solo series in my own universe.
Awesome. Okay.
My very first novel was solo, and it was set in Kevin Steverson's Salvage title universe. So the Salvage Bunny series is its own thing in the Salvage title universe. And if you have read those books, you'll catch like Easter eggs and little cameos from other characters. And to just dive into that just a little bit, like shared universes are so much fun, right? I love being able to work because Chris Kennedy Publishing is really good about inviting new authors to play. And Chris Kennedy, he keeps open slots in anthologies specifically for new authors. That's how I got my start. And getting to write in the Salvage title universe was a great way to kind of safely spread my wings without having to do the world building, because it had already been done. I did plenty of my own. My kids actually were reading the Salvage Bunny series, which is complete. It's a 4-book trilogy. They were asking me questions like, well, what about this alien race or this? And I'm like, okay, so let me explain shared universes to you guys. And it turned into a great discussion of like, well, Kevin Steverson created this massive open sandbox with very few rules. Like, he was real generous. But these particular races over here, he created, and I was allowed to use those. These are all mine. And so it was great practice of doing world building within a safety net. But I also partnered with Nick Steverson. This is before we became besties, y'all. So Nick Steverson and I met at Fantasy in Raleigh. I'm not doing the math. Don't make me do the math. A couple years ago, right? Just yesterday. And he asked me to write a trilogy with him in the Salvage title universe. And it's basically hyenas. It's like the hyenas from The Lion King decided one day that they were going to not only be intelligent office workers, but go, screw working in an office. We're going to go be treasure hunters instead. So it's like Office Space meets Pirates of the Caribbean. So I did a trilogy with Nick. We wrote all 3 books back to back to back. And then CKP released them pretty quick. And then I wrote a solo book in the Four Horsemen universe, which is basically CKP's flagship, right? Over 100 books. They just wrapped up like the main storyline. Chris Kennedy and Mark Wandry created the universe, and they wrote the last book together. I think that came out like last week as
pretty recent. Yeah.
So I got to do, and again, this is thanks to Marisa. Marisa is like, hey, so do you want to do a companions novel? Which, if you are not familiar with the Four Horsemen, that means that she asked me to write one of the Cat Sasson Depic novels. And I had so much fun with it because I read plenty of Four Horsemen books, and I was like, the dropship pilot always dies. Screw that. I'm going to write a character where she's a dropship pilot and she doesn't die. I mean, others do, but semantics.
Yeah.
So
they're not all red shirts.
Right. So I got to do that. I got to write, oh my gosh, I got to write a solo book in the Valkyrie series, which was a spinoff of Bill Webb's Hit World series, again, with Marisa. We didn't co-write it, but she wrote the first book. I wrote the second. Matt Novotny, I believe, wrote the third. Urban fantasy, anything goes awesomeness. So again, like not my universe, right? Not my circus, not my monkeys. I was, again, getting to learn more about writing and creating characters and little bits of world building within a larger structure. I got to write, and this was one of my favorite co-author moments ever, because Casey Moores is my oldest friend. We've known each other since I was a baby lieutenant stationed at Moody Air Force Base. And he is honestly 100% the reason I am here. Like, not on this earth, to be clear, but as an author, right? He contacted me out of nowhere 10 years ago again. Like, I wasn't even living in Memphis yet. And he was like, hey, I've got a story. Do you mind reading it for me? Y'all, I hadn't heard from that man in like a couple of years, and I was in his wedding. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll read it. And it was amazing. And, I gave him feedback, and then he was like, hey, you should try writing too, which led to this insanity that has consumed my life. Mm-hmm. My husband is like, 70% of your life, sweetheart, is books. I'm like, and? Your point? He's like, no point, just pointing it out. Everything's fine. But no, Rise from Ruin is the first book that I wrote both solo and in my very own universe. And the fact that I got to do that with Bane was one of those like just pinch me moments.
Yeah.
Like when I started, like my first book, Sunrise Over Shippo, that came out February of 2022. So I have not been doing this that long. To have gotten to Bane wasn't even in my plan or like my wildest dreams at that point. So it's been amazing. And the opportunities I had both with co-authors and with shared universes really launched my career.
So what is the biggest difference for you? Because you have co-written so many things with have you co-written with the Feral Ladies? Yeah.
So Casey and I are going to co-write. Do not listen to her when she says that I am the problem. We are 100% both the problem.
Okay.
Neither of us has it, but no, we do have plans to co-write together. Marisa and I co-wrote a short story. Because here's the thing, you guys. Co-writing is something that requires constant communication, and it requires flexibility. It requires compromise. And I am absolutely the person that will prioritize a friendship over a book. Mm-hmm. Anytime. Like, my friendship with you is more important than any freaking book. So Marisa and I decide, hey, because we are besties, we're going to try co-writing a short story to test the waters, make sure that our collective insanity like translates well to writing. And it did. That was like the most awesome short story we've ever done. Mm-hmm. And we were really proud of it. But like I said, I've co-authored Bronze Legion books with Jason Cordova, and we have a great time doing it. But at the same time, we got done with Bronze Legion 2. And this is after, so I wrote Tempered by Fire. Then I wrote Rome to the Stars, which was a very odd co-author / other authors, like, because that trilogy in Space Romans is me and Steve, and then Bill Keith, William Keith and Steve, and then Griffin Barber and Steve, right? So 3 different authors in a continuous, somewhat interwoven storyline. So it was very complex, and it required communication, right? And work. And then went from that to Bronze Legion 2 with Jason, which was a great experience again, but also constant communication, constant phone calls, constant like, okay, I thought we were doing this, but I think we should do this instead. Or what do you think about this? Like constantly, like, again, not a bad thing when you are friends with the people that you're writing with. It's super fun. All that to say, when I finally got to start writing Griffin's 3, where I just had to ask myself, hey, self, do you want to do this? Why, yes. Yes, I would. What a great idea. It's also really, really freaking cool. So I love both. I really do. I love having access to another brain where I can be like, oh, crap, I don't know what we're supposed to do here, but we can bounce off of each other, whether it's me and Jason, me and Nick, me and Marisa, anybody. Like, being able to bounce off of your co-author is super helpful. Also, they're writing half the words. You write a book so much faster when you only have to do half of it.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to ask you, and we might get more into this into the second half. Just heads up, folks. This is going to be 2, maybe a 3-parter. How much did your process change? Because you've done so much co-authoring. That how much, and not that this was your first solo, but it was your first solo, and it was your first solo with not your first solo. It was a solo in your own universe, also your first solo with Bane. How much did that change your process, or did it?
Honestly, like, and I know Marisa has said this too, and Casey, like, every project is either wildly different or at least just a little bit different. Part of it is because it depends on what you're working on, depends on who you're working with. And sometimes it's just because we're collectively insane. And what worked for our brain 2 weeks ago on a different project doesn't work this time. Like, I simultaneously wrote Rise from Ruin while I was co-authoring Forlorn Hope with Casey Moores. I don't know where that brain went, you guys, but I can't do that right now. I cannot flip between 2 different voices and 2 different projects and not want to.
I can see that being tough.
Right? Like, but at the time I was so driven to write Rise from Ruin that I was able to make that mental separation. Like, when I was at work on my breaks, I would work on Blood and Armor. And then when I was home, I had enough of a break that I could switch gears. And I just did copy edits on Rome to the Stars. And I tried to immediately go from, okay, I did the copy edits. I read through the whole book to smooth everything out. Everything's great. I tried to go straight from that back into writing Griffin's 3. And I could hear the gears grinding in my brain going, no, we are not doing this. So I had to take like 2 days to just like calm down and get Akila's voice out of my head and Harpy's voice back. And that changes, right? Like every book has been wildly different. But the one thing that does stay the same, though, is that if I can't hear the characters, that is my first sign that my brain needs a break. Like, if I can't hear those voices, I'm done. I need to step away from the keyboard. I need to go pay attention to my children, maybe pay attention to my husband, do something.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I was going to mention is, like, even though you're writing a solo novel with your circle of friends, you are never truly alone.
No,
because for those who are joining us late, my wife and Melissa are very good friends, along with Casey Zell. They do a podcast together, and I hear their voices at least once or twice a week, if not more often. So, like I said, they are never alone. So you were talking about kind of alluding to burnout a little bit, and we might get more into this later. But what do you do right now, and this will probably end this portion of it, but what do you do to rejuvenate your brain, to entertain yourself, to get back into the creative spirit besides caffeination with your frou-frou coffee drinks?
Right? Caffeinated chocolate milk, you guys. I don't drink real coffee.
Oh.
So I tend to do a lot of walking. Whether I am desperately trying to train my German Shepherd puppy on a leash, which is really medium. He's a cranky teenager right now. So I go for walks.
Beautiful dog.
Thank you. He knows it. He knows it. He's a sable German Shepherd, and he's very pretty. But so I go for walks. Like I said, we live in Memphis, and it's very hot here. And we were very fortunate to find a house when we moved here that has a pool. So I swim. I play with my kids. My son constantly asks me to play Halo with him, and I used to be good at video games, and I'm terrible now. I lost my touch, and he kicks my butt, and I stopped playing with him, and now he's like, but there's a new Halo game coming out, Mom, and now you have to play it with me. And I'm like, fine. But I'll read other books like by authors who are way better than I am, partly because that's how I get better, right? Somebody was asking me, well, how do you judge pacing, or how do you do this? And I'm like, I don't actually do that. I feel it. And part of the reason I feel that kind of stuff is because I've read so many books my dad had a line in the budget for new books for me because our library didn't carry a lot of sci-fi and fantasy. So I read, I watch TV. I 100% just finished watching Off Campus for the plot. Plot. Hockey romance. Oh,
good God.
Okay, all right. Time out just for a second. PSA. Okay, so while I started to watch the show for the capital P plot, I finished watching the show because it was shockingly wholesome. And that is something that I've been seeing more in TV that I've been enjoying. Like One Piece, again, the live action one, shockingly wholesome. Young Sheldon, adorable, and it's funny, and again, wholesome. Ted Lasso, wholesome.
I mean, they curse a lot, but it's in England, so they have to. But at the same time, you're going to learn some life lessons,
right? I love those shows right now where we're starting to see healthy female relationships where it's not competition or cattiness. Yes, give me more of that. Give me more of people actually talking to each other without the crappy miscommunication trope. Give me strong female friendships, not characters, because that's crappy. Give me plots and plot, because why not both? So that is one of the ways that I avoid burnout is I get away from the laptop. I hang out with my family. I cackle with my friends. Hi, Jeremy.
On a regular.
And I find something that just makes me happy, whether it's, wholesome hockey players without shirts on, or, playing with my puppy, who is adorable and not quite as all teeth as he was a month ago.
Awesome. Well, what are you reading right now?
Oh my God, I wish I had it with me. So I'm going to post a reel later today because this book is gorgeous. I buy anything from Patricia Briggs. Patricia Briggs is one of those auto-buy authors for me. I just finished reading Alona Andrews' This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me. And I was looking, and Patricia Briggs had, it was like a series of short stories in hardcover, Blind Date with a Werewolf. And I got the hardcover from Amazon delivered, and it is so pretty. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait to have hardcover special editions and have Griffins be that pretty, even though the covers are, y'all, already clearly gorgeous. I need the sprayed edges though. It's a girl thing. So I will be reading Blind Date with a Werewolf this weekend, and I'm super excited.
You and your romance.
Fantasy and grumpy werewolves. I love it.
Yeah. All right. So like I said, folks, this is going to be probably a 2, maybe a 3-parter. We're going to take a little break. because people have to go to places and do things, and we're going to come back. And when we come back, we're going to have a special guest. We know who they are, but they'll be special to you. Well, they're special to me. Anyway, and there may be spoilers. So if you haven't read the first book, it's probably going to be a week from now before this comes out. Go get the first book, read it, come back, take notes, and we'll talk about it. So when we come back, special guests along with Melissa Olthoff. Welcome back, people. We're back here with Melissa Olthoff. We are talking Tempered by Fire, Book 2 in the Griffin's trilogy. Am I saying that right? Trilogy?
Well, yes.
Okay. Will be for now. All right. Speaking of, before we bring on our special guest, what are your hopes for this series as far as after the initial trilogy?
So in the first part of this episode that Jeremy and I did, he asked me a question. I 100% got sidetracked because he asked me how many books I plan to write. And I got sidetracked with my children have demanded all the books, much like Felix the Griffin demands all the cows. So as of right now, Harper's storyline has 9 books planned for it. Awesome. I am contracted with Bain for the initial trilogy. So do not disappoint Felix. Go out and buy the books for him. Do it for him, not for me. Do it for the Griffin. And we'll see how many books I get to write. But my kids have demanded that I write all of them. So I guess I will.
So when successful, will you like how you got your start? Will you let other authors come play in your world, and or will it be kind of your baby? And
yes, and so yes, I would love to do an anthology, maybe after the first trilogy, and invite some of my very awesome friends to come play in the Griffin universe. I don't intend to open it up further than that, outside of like an anthology of short stories at this time. But one of the people that 100% already has a slot in this imaginary future anthology is somebody we both know, Marisa Wolf, who, like you also mentioned in the first part of this episode, is even when I'm writing something solo, I'm not writing it alone. I bounce ideas off of my husband, my besties, and Marisa is 100% the reason that Dimitri, my idiot love interest, has a black dragon instead of a gray dragon. So you can thank her for that one.
Well, speaking of Marisa, that just happens to be our special guest today. So Marisa, welcome. For those who don't know, Marisa is my wife, and I get to hear these two talk almost daily.
You're welcome.
And so she is intimately knowledgeable about these books. So we brought her on to add shenanigans, to talk about the first book. There may be spoilers. I produce a podcast with these two ladies plus one more, KCZL, called Feral Ladies. Mm-hmm. And it's like herding cats, but it's a good show. So
cursing cats.
Yes. Cursing, cackling cats. And so we figured just for a little bit more added entertainment, we'd bring on a shenanigator, Marisa Wolf. And so what we're going to talk about in this portion of the interview is the first book, the second book, friends, whatever having friends, how important it is, all that good stuff. Because that's one thing that I have witnessed and appreciate about the Feral Ladies is that they're not just co-authors. They're not just they're friends. They are a support group, and I feel women are better at this than men on average about having a support group, and I find it very valuable, and I know you guys do too. And I kind of wanted y'all to talk a little bit about that, but we'll get to that. Okay, so Marisa, you barged in on this show, and
I was invited.
and so tell us what you think of the first book, and I'm sure you've read the second book and maybe even the third book. I don't know, because you're super special. And
No, the
all that
third is
stuff.
still secret.
Okay.
But I know many things because I get to be the other side of the phone when Melissa's like, the scene isn't working. I think, what if I do this? What if I do this? And I'm like, here's some thoughts. And she's like, yeah. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. And I love it every time. It makes me so happy.
Mhm.
So I have said with my whole heart and full honesty, last year I said this a bunch, it was the best book I had read. And it was like full stop, right? I wasn't like in the last 5 months in this particular genre. I love Rise from Ruin so much. Melissa already knows this. But I love it. I love it so much. I love the characters. I love the connections. I love the relationships. When I read it first, BT dubs, I just like to throw that in there wherever possible. Several of us got the story at the first time. I just sent my notes back first because I finished first. And I feel like that's an important benchmark to talk about. Because some people, Jason Cordova, like to say that they read it first, but demonstrably untrue. And we're just going to fight about it on the internet for the rest of the time.
This is not the first time they have brought this up.
Oh, no. It's for fun. Can you still see me? Because my screen just went black.
No, give it time. Your camera will reset, but you can keep talking. We hear you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess that's the best part anyway. That was very strange. Anyway, so
to be clear, I love you.
Yeah, thank you. It'll be here, and you know what? Maybe I'll just be the voice from on high, or low. I don't know. Anyway, when I read this book, I laughed, cried, cursed in all caps at Melissa, and also goose honked. I think this was the book. This was the invention of the goose honk, I think.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. I mean, a book of Melissa's was the invention of the goose honk, but there was definitely a goose honk in this one if it wasn't first. Yeah, I think my camera just said screamery, so we're out. It's fine. Anyway, I loved it. And in the second book, I think I did all of those same things, but harder. I definitely cursed harder. And I mean, what I wanted to do, but you didn't set me up for it, and that's a bummer. I wanted to come on here and say, yeah, I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you? Because that is a feeling I have very deeply in my heart for Melissa, for certain events in book one, and the ouchiness of which it continues in book two. So yes, I love very much. We have a lot of really cool stuff coming up. I'm so excited for readers to know about Tempered by Fire and all the details so I can talk about it with them. And I believe, Melissa, how do you refer to book two? I feel like you refer to it in a certain kind of way, just to give people a heads up about what's happening.
So book two has been called several things. My favorite was your working title for it, which was because for the longest time I did not know what to call this book. It was just Griffins 2. Marisa called it Griffins 2 Electric Boogaloo. And somebody thought that was the actual title for a hot second, which was amazing. But I call this book My Empire Strikes Back. For very good reason. There's also
Look, her face
I'm
is back.
The Empire summoned me.
Did.
Yeah. So why high level? No spoilers for book two, obviously, though there may be spoilers for book one. So if you have not read it, go ahead and pause this video and go read it. I don't want to ruin it for you because it's amazing.
Like and subscribe first, and then pause.
Yeah, and then I guess Jeremy. But no, I already told Jeremy all the events of book one. It's fine. I think maybe you should cover your ears. What sorts of vibes are making you call it your Empire Strikes Back book, Melissa?
So in Rise from Ruin, one of the things, because we learn lessons, right? We learn things as we go from being a cadet to being a active duty lieutenant in the middle of a war with another country. We learned that you can mess things up and still win. Like you can get lucky, right? Like you can just, boy, you just made every mistake in the book, but you survived it. Good job.
Great job.
Well, in book 2, Harper has to learn the other half of that lesson, which is you can do everything right and still lose.
Mm-hmm.
And when, again, no spoilers, but when a mission behind enemy lines goes very wrong, Harper is going to have to learn that sometimes it's not about winning or losing. It's about surviving. No spoilers.
Just, you might want to curse at her in all caps. I'm just saying, there are things. So at the end of book 1, you talked a little bit about some of these characters who I love very, very much. Keaton has a bit of a character arc in book 1 and 2.
Yes. Okay, so I need you guys to understand, as much as an asshole as I am to my characters and to my readers, I'm also an asshole to myself, because if I don't feel something when I'm writing those kind of scenes, I'm not doing it right. So what happens with Keaton in book 1 is 100% informing what happens in book 2. So his emotional arc in book 2 drives the story more than Harper's does. Like, he is the heart of Tempered by Fire. Because again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers here with book 1, but if you haven't read it, maybe go do that.
Some stuff happens,
right? Like, you can think that you have lost everything, and deciding how to live with that or not that's a hard thing. And quite frankly, he also had to realize that he hadn't lost everything. There was always more he could lose. So that was one of the cool things that I got to. So Toni Weisskopf, she is one of the best in the business, right? She is the head editor at Baen and runs it fantastically. So when I first talked with her about Rise from Ruin, I'm like, well, I was thinking about doing this or this. And she's like, you can do whatever you want. You can break it into 2 parts, which I did. You can have a prologue, you can have an epilogue, you can do these things. And I'm like, so book 2, I just like book 1, I broke it into 2 parts, but I also have an interlude that is not from Harpy's POV. It is from, and I wrestled with that one quite a bit because I got conflicting feedback from a bunch of people. Some people thought it didn't belong. Some people were like, well, maybe if you did it in 3rd person instead of 1st. And at the end of the day, I went with my gut. And my gut said it needed to be Keaton's POV. It needed to be there to hold the story together emotionally, because it's his turning point. And as hard as it was to write a lot of Keaton scenes, getting to write that one was cathartic. So
I was about to say that the issues, while made up in the context of this story, are at the same time very real, because it's law. You lose something, and to see that character go through that was like, oh, that felt pretty real, So with that being said, have you, either one of you, ever written something that made you cry while you were writing it?
Yes.
I believe, isn't that the scene, Melissa, that every time you read it, it made you cry?
Oh, yeah. So there are multiple scenes. There's 2 in particular in Rise from Ruin that I cried while writing it, cried while editing it, and then editing it, and then edit. There are multiple rounds of edits that we go through, guys.
Every time I hurt myself. Yep.
I cried every time. And my husband would be like, are you okay? Is it book stuff? I'm like, it's book stuff. And he's like,
just me.
And now, as promised, one jump ahead. John Moore is a nanotech-enhanced soldier of fortune. Lobo is an AI, a living weapons and intelligence platform of enormous destructive potential. 2 very dangerous wolves in a galaxy of deadly corporate and paramilitary predators. But Moore has grown weary of the killing, and just once he'd like to finish a job without leaving a trail of blood behind him. Not going to happen. Not on a pristine planet called Macon, where 2 gigantic corporations vie for control of the local jump gate and access to the riches of an undeveloped world. Dealing with a kidnapping and extortion scheme is only the beginning for Moore and Lobo as they work to stay one jump ahead.
Attend the meeting personally, I said, then added, please, as her eyes narrowed slightly. Please also demand that Slake and Chung appear there so you three can discuss, important issues concerning future uses of the new aperture, their firms' recent complaints to the SAW, any agenda worthy of a long in-person meeting involving the three of you. I just need you to get everyone together and keep them there for a day and a night. Easy enough, she said. What else? If this works, the SAW either gets the contract for the force on Mackin or has the first right to subcontract it. Colonel Earl already explained that part, she said. As our existing partner in this region, the SAW would be our natural first choice in any case. That's it, I said. What do you want from the SAW? She asked. I lack the level of expertise that you and the Colonel possess when it comes to your agreements with the corporations in this region, I said, trying to use the type of indirect bureaucratic discourse I normally find distasteful. But I believe this is a discussion you might do best to allow to occur without you. She laughed. Of course. I can't see a reason in the world I'd want to join former comrades in arms talking shop. She turned slightly to look at Earl. I'm sure the Colonel and I will be speaking again soon. As often as necessary, of course, he said. She nodded, and the wall blanked. What's next? Earl said. Lim has to run the lead team on the ground in Mackin, I said. I looked at her. I owe her. And more importantly, she'll have more freedom from some types of action than your troops can officially possess. He thought for a moment. Under my command, he said. No, Lim said. I don't work for you. I'm certainly not putting my troops under your command, he said. We all agree to a plan in advance, I said, and each of us runs our parts of it, independently. I turned to Lim. If the wings come off, all of us, and I do include myself, defer to Earl. Because the SAW's the official power here. I turned back to Earl, but only if the wings come off. If the plan stays within specs, we operate as equals. I pushed back slightly from the table so I could easily watch them both. Deal? Neither spoke, neither looked at the other. Gustafson studied some dust on his trousers. Yes, Earl said, finally breaking the silence. That's reasonable. Deal, Lim said. So, what do you really want from the SAW? Earl said. I assume your troops here have trained for work in all elements, including the ocean, I said. Of course, Earl said, sounding a little put out. Or haven't you noticed the amount of water on this planet? Does the SAW still provide vacation transport for troops on R&R? He nodded. Though only on existing shuttle routes, as always. To Mackin? When the Coalition needs us to run FC staff or supplies there, we provide protective transport. It's a shame about your transport repair team, I said. They're the best in the business, Earl said. As you should know, those soldiers are... I held up my hand to cut him off. It's a shame, I said, that they've been so busy that none of the smaller shuttles are operational right now, and that you're having to fly big ships on even the small routes for the next few days. I expect some of your pilots will be complaining publicly about having to take big tugs on every single run, even the hops to little planets like Mackin. Earl smiled. I expect they will, he said. Tell me more. Chapter 26. Gustafson's conservative civilian dress, working pants and standard business shirt, both in muted browns and perfectly laundered, his gig line, ramrod straight, screamed undercover trouble to the crowd at Strange Kitty. A third of the customers lost interest in shopping and fled out the front door as we walked slowly to the back of the store. By the time we reached the warehouse entrance, it was locked and blocked, 4 security guards backing the same small nervous salesman I'd met before. May I help you? he said. I had to give him credit. He acted as if we'd never met, his eyes showing no obvious signs of recognition. I hadn't gone into the details of my recon of Chung's estate in my briefing of Earl and Gustafson, so I had no reason to reveal my past strange kitty business now. I believe so, I said. We're interested in assisted ocean sports, and specifically in the racing rays. I saw in the rather large tanks just before the aviary. My understanding is that ray racing is an increasingly popular sport. It is indeed, he said. We've augmented the rays for both surface and underwater races, though most of our clients prefer the underwater variety. As do I. I'm looking for one creature with enough power to easily handle a rider weight of as much as 150 kilos, and I also want top-notch speed and control. I caught his odd look at me. Several of us will be sharing the ray, I said, and some of my friends are very large. Gustafson coughed as he fought to suppress a chuckle. I reminded myself, as I'd already done many times since he and I had met outside Strange Kitty, never to try to pass him as a civilian again. We plan to race strictly underwater. Surface breathing ability isn't at all important to us, nor is price. I paused a moment to make the point.
This has been the Bane Free Radio Hour. Thanks for joining us at the heart of science fiction. Join us next week for the final installment of Jeremy Comeaux's interview of Melissa Olthoff on Tempered by Fire, and we bring you more One Jump Ahead by Mark L. Van Name, Part 73. Score by Ruth Judkowitz.